Before the scar, before the treachery, before the desolate Pride lands, there was just Taka, a prince, second-born, living in the shadow of his magnificent brother, Mufasa. Have you ever wondered what snapped? What twisted a member of the royal family into the most iconic villain of our childhoods? Well, the story is darker and more tragic than you might imagine. It's a tale of sibling rivalry, a desperate grab for power, and a single, fateful encounter that would forever change the destiny of the Pride lands. Let's rewind the clock. In the golden era of King Ahadi's reign, two cubs were born. Mufasa, the heir, strong, charismatic, and destined for greatness. And Taka, smaller, clever, but perpetually overlooked. The name Taka itself means dirt or waste in Swahili. Imagine growing up with a name like that, a constant reminder of your perceived lesser status. While Mufasa was groomed for the throne, learning the delicate balance of the circle of life, Taka was often left to his own devices. His resentment wasn't born in a vacuum. It was nurtured day by day. He saw the admiration in his father's eyes for Mufasa. He heard the cheers of the pride for Mufasa. Every sunrise that cast Mufasa's shadow longer than his own was another small cut. Taka believed he was smarter, more strategic. He saw Mufasa's trust in others as naivety, his adherence to tradition as a weakness. He felt he deserved the crown. But the laws of succession were absolute. He needed another way. This burning ambition led Taka to the shadowy fringes of the Pride lands, to the elephant graveyard. It was there he found his first real allies, or so he thought. The hyenas, Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed. They were outcasts, who's like him, hungry for respect and power. They saw in Taka a ticket to a better life. A life with full bellies and a place at the top of the food chain. Taka saw them as tools, a private army to help him achieve his goals. It was a union, forged in mutual desperation and a shared disdain for Mufasa's rule. Taka devised a cunning plan. He would prove his superiority to his father and the Pride once and for all. He told Mufasa that a rogue water buffalo was terrorizing the herds near the gorge and that Taka would handle it alone. It was a lie. Of course, his real plan was to use the hyenas to create a stampede, corner the buffalo, and emerge as the hero. Mufasa, ever the noble brother, refused to let Taka go alone. He insisted on helping, seeing it as his duty to protect his younger brother, no matter how foolish his plans. Taka agreed, but his scheme shifted. This was his chance to get Mufasa out of the way for good. He instructed the hyenas to provoke not just one buffalo, but the entire herd. The ground began to tremble as the stampede thundered towards them. Mufasa used his incredible strength to save Taka, pushing him to safety. But in the chaos, Mufasa was cornered. It was then that one of the largest buffaloes charged, its massive horns catching Taka across the eye. As he tried to scramble away, the pain was blinding, a searing agony that would leave a permanent mark. Mufasa, battered but alive, managed to fight off the buffalo and drive away the herd. He found his brother bleeding and unconscious. When Taka awoke, the first thing he saw was the concern on Mufasa's face, but he didn't feel gratitude or felt same. His plan had failed spectacularly, and not only had his perfect brother saved him again, but he was now permanently disfigured. The physical wound was deep, but the wound to his pride was deeper. From that day forward, he was no longer Taka. He insisted everyone call him Scar, a constant, bitter reminder of his failure and the brother he despised. This event wasn't just about getting a cool villain name. It was the turning point. It cemented his hatred for Mufasa, transforming his jealousy into a murderous obsession. The scar on his face became a symbol of his rage, a promise to himself that one day he would succeed. The union with the hyenas, once a simple partnership of convenience, now became a deadly pact sworn to regicide. He learned a crucial lesson that day. Brute force and ambition weren't enough. He needed to be more patient, more manipulative. He would spend years cultivating his network, poisoning the minds of those who felt disenfranchised, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He observed Mufasa's greatest strength, his love for his family, and realized it was also his greatest weakness. A weakness Scar would one day exploit with devastating precision. The birth of Simba was the final nail in the coffin of Scar's ambition. At least through any legitimate means, he was no longer even second in line. He was nothing. This pushed him over the edge. From a bitter plotter to a cold-blooded killer, his earlier failure at the gorge became the blueprint for his next attempt. Another stampede, another gorge. But TS team, he wouldn't be there to get scarred. He would be the puppet master, pulling the strings from above. The rest, as we know, is history. The tragedy in the gorge, the famous lie. Long live the king, and the dark years that followed. But it all started with a young prince named Taka, who just wanted to be seen. His story is a dark, cautionary tale about how envy, when left to fester, can rot a soul from the inside out. The union that shaped him wasn't just with the hyenas. It was a union of pride, ambition, and a deep-seated resentment that a single scar brought into horrifying focus. He wasn't born a monster. He was made into one, by circumstance, by choice, and by the scar's parents. They're simply known as the king and queen who preceded Mufasa. But thanks to the expanded universe, particularly the Lion Guard and the book series A Tale of Two Brothers, we can piece together their identities. Their names were Ahadi and Uru. He was depicted as a strong, wise, and respected ruler. Ahadi took his responsibilities very seriously. She was described as having a beautiful, earthy brown coat, a stark and lovely contrast to Ahadi's bright gold. She was a leader in her own right, balancing Ahadi's stern sense of duty with her own brand of gentle strength, leading their kingdom through droughts and challenges with grace and power. Their firstborn was Mufasa. He was strong, charismatic, and kind. As a result, Ahadi poured all his time and energy into training Mufasa. The Pride Lands celebrated the birth of their future king, and all seemed right with the world. But then, their second son was born. This cub was smaller and weaker than his brother. He didn't have the brilliant golden fur of his father and brother. Instead, he had his mother's earthy brown coat, but with his father's striking green eyes. They named him Taka. In Swahili, the name Taka can mean dirt or trash. Now, why would they give him such a name? It's a question that has puzzled fans for years. Some theories suggest it was simply a name, without ill intent. But other interpretations paint a darker picture. Perhaps from the very beginning, Taka was seen as less than his magnificent older brother Mufasa. This perception, this name, may have been the very first seed of resentment planted in the young cub's heart. As the two brothers grew, the differences in their upbringing became stark. Mufasa was the center of Ahadi's world. He was the heir, the future, the priority. Ahadi spent countless hours with Mufasa, teaching him how to be king. But where was Ahadi for his second son, Taka? The story suggests that Ahadi so focused on his heir and his royal duties, largely neglected Taka. He saw Taka's smaller stature and less kingly appearance, and perhaps dismissed him. This left Taka feeling overlooked, ignored, and unimportant. He was constantly living in the shadow of his perfect older brother, starved for the attention and approval of a father who seemed to have little to spare. While Ahadi was distant, Uru, their mother, tried to bridge the gap. She loved both her sons dearly and saw the growing rift between them. She would spend time with Taka, comforting him and trying to build his confidence. She told him that strength wasn't just about size or power, but also about intelligence and wit, qualities Taka had in abundance. Uru was his champion, his source of comfort in a world where he felt like a perpetual second best. She tried to balance Ahadi's neglect with her own affection, but a mother's love, however strong, could completely shield Taka from the pain of his father's indifference and the weight of his brother's shadow. This family dynamic is where the tragedy of Scar truly begins. It wasn't born in a moment of evil, but nurtured over years of neglect and favoritism. Imagine being a young lion, constantly told you're not as good, not as strong, not as important as your brother. Imagine your own father, the king, barely acknowledges your existence except to compare you unfavorably to the golden child. This is the environment where Taka's jealousy and bitterness took root. He loved his mother, but he craved his father's respect. Mufasa, for his part, wasn't malicious. He was simply living the life he was born into. Unaware of the deep-seated resentment growing in his younger brother, the stage was set for a tragedy, and it all stemmed from the choices made by their parents, Ahadi and Uru. And that brings us to the pivotal moment, the event that transformed Taka into Scar. According to a tale of two brothers, a jealous Taka was tricked by a trio of mischievous hyenas. They convinced him that if he could make Mufasa look bad in front of their father, Ahadi would finally be impressed with him. The plan was to lure Mufasa to a waterhole where a Cape buffalo named Boma was refusing to share water. Taka believed if he could defeat Boma, he would be a hero. He told Mufasa to go tell their father about Boma's stubbornness, secretly hoping Mufasa would get in trouble. But the plan backfired horribly. The buffalo, angered by Taka's arrogance, attacked him. Mufasa, ever the hero, returned just in time to save his brother, but not before Taka was struck by the buffalo's horns, receiving a permanent scar over his eye. When a wounded Taka returned to Pride Rock, he hoped for sympathy, especially from his father. Instead, Ahadi was furious, not just at Taka's recklessness, but at the manipulative nature of his plan. In that moment, Taka, in a fit of bitter irony and defiance, declared that he would no longer be called Taka. From that day on, he wanted to be known as Scar, a permanent physical reminder of his father's perceived betrayal and the foolish mistake that marked him forever. This wasn't just a name change. It was a transformation. It was the death of the hopeful young cub named Taka and the birth of the bitter, calculating villain, Scar. Ahadi and Uru's family was now irrevocably broken. Their legacy was no longer just about a future king. It was now also about a prince cloaked in darkness, his heart scarred as deeply as his face. And that is the tragic origin story of how Ahadi and Uru's union led to the creation of one of Disney's greatest villains. It is a powerful reminder that the stories of our heroes and villains often begin long before they take center stage, rooted in the families that raised them. What do you think? Was Scar destined to be evil, or was he a product of his upbringing? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into Pride Land's history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. We'll see you in the next video.